We are still on until 3 o'clock. Of course, this is the touchline on Y254. Very good afternoon and welcome back to the program. So Robert is still around getting involved in the production aspect of the show. That's why you can't see him on the set. And so we're going to speak a little bit about sports nutrition and fitness, especially during this time of coronavirus pandemic, which has engulfed the global world, sport included. And two robust gentlemen are joining us, both from medical field, but with bias for sport. Felix Okura at the middle, physiotherapist, alongside Charles Ndirangu, nutrition expert. Gentlemen, good to join us. Very good afternoon, starting with you, Felix. How are you? Are you keeping safe?
Are
you okay?
I'm good. I'm keeping safe.
The physical appearance shows that you are doing very well.
Thank you, sir.
How about you, Ndirangu?
Thank you, Max. We are keeping safe.
Yes.
And really observing this time of pandemic, and we shall overcome.
We shall overcome, indeed. Very positive thoughts. So, Felix, let's start with you. What's the significance of physiotherapy as far as matter sporting world is concerned?
To start with, thank you for the chance. And really, since the COVID-19 has really affected the sport in general,
yes,
worldwide. And we as physiotherapist and physiotherapist trainer, physiotherapy is very significant when it comes to the performance of players. Of course, currently, most of the players are not training as it used to be while in the camps. Where we come in as physiotherapists is generally as our team, medical team.
Yes.
We advise our players and coaching team generally to most of the leagues have been running. So we advise them that they should at least take some time to relax. Then they will be advised when to begin. That's where our physiotherapists will begin. Will get in and advise on what to do at that time.
Advice accordingly. So nutrition is also a paramount aspect as far as the life and breakthrough of a sportsman is concerned, especially during this particular time and even before corona. How important is nutritious aspect of the game?
Thank you, Max. A time like now, during this pandemic, we are more concerned about the inactivity point of view, because at this point, the energy balance, which has to be there for them to maintain their effectiveness in terms of performance, is really compromised. This time, most of these players, they are just indoors, like the guy I've been just talking to. Yes. He's not able to work out. So the energy balance will not be there. Remember, for them to be active in the field, they have to maintain that input-output balance, which has to for them to be effective. So for this time, we have to struggle with that, and we have to see evidence of maybe weight gain, which will really compromise their performance in the field.
We've also been advised about the kind of meals we should be consuming right now, proper and personal hygiene, and we've been told by WHO that we need to start consuming lemon, fruits to boost our immunity, so that to be strong enough to ensure that this coronavirus, we don't get subjected to it. I don't know, but now from a sporting world, what would a player consume right now if he has to maintain that fitness even past coronavirus pandemic?
Thank you. You see, for this, if you are really just focusing, everyone needs that immunity to go by. So the immunity is for everyone. So we have to factor in those food that will really give the immunity, things that will contribute to vitamin C. So a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, and so on. But for the players, we are really targeting how to maintain that balance, because for them, they have been involved, they are actively involved in the field. So at a time like now, they are indoors. So the inactivity form of it will make them maybe have more weight. So the recommendation for them, which has to be individualized, is now going for a meal that will give more satiety. So they have to really be concerned about something that will make them gain more weight, especially when they are consuming this junk food, especially high salt, high fat, and high sugar foods. So for them to be able to maintain that healthiness, make sure that they are active still consume things that will improve their immunity, not just being sedentary, which will make sure that by the end of the day, they gain more weight, which now will reduce their activity in the field.
Felix, I know this time, I've seen several players getting involved in training online, via Zoom, just like we've been doing an interview with Patrick Matas, so that to keep fit, to continue being strong, so that when, the sporting activities resume, they are not left behind from continuing to deliver on the pitch. But how do someone go about it in ensuring that he keeps fit or she keeps fit and stay away even from injuries that might be subjected to him? There is this stereotype that, someone can only get injured when they are playing.
Sure.
Yes.
To start with, we as a player, I know they are very worried because now they are not training.
Yes.
But the depression may set in because maybe when the league begin, they are likely maybe to perform. But what we are trying to tell them now is to relax. What they should concentrate on now is strengthening exercise and endurance.
Yes.
So that when they begin, they should not, we should not have that laxity and to maximize on their performance. Currently, they should at least we have currently on YouTube we have the channels which show how people should exercise at home. And we have if you look at our televisions, currently our local televisions, some of them are showing the program that at least they can keep our players fit at home. So what we do, we encourage our players that at least at home, they should not relax because they are at high risk of gaining weight. They should at least practice at least 30 minutes a day. World Health Organization recommend that at least a player or a normal person should at least train at 150 minutes per week. So that is moderate activity to vigorous activities. They should combine those exercises at least to keep themselves fit as they wait to begin their respective games.
And considering that gyms and athletics facilities have been closed and even access to medical services is minimized, I don't know, does that create panic and worry?
No, that should not create panic and worry. At least, for example, for players who are staying in story building, we have stairs. For example, you are carrying something to the second floor. At least you should be able to do that like twice. At least anything you do is very good for your body. Any physical activities, it keeps away so many diseases. It keeps your body fit.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is encouraged. So they should not be worried that the gyms are not working, medical facilities are not working. At least as a player, they should know, and I'm very sure that they are working hand in hand with their organizing team, coaches, so that at least every player should have at least 30 minutes of practicing or 15 minutes, at least to keep themselves fit, so that at the end of the day, they should be in a fitting performance to go ahead with the whole thing.
Yes, indeed. How about you, Charles Ndirangu? Nutrition is a broad word, and sometimes we rarely fail to understand because we are not the professionals, the experts of that particular sector. Now we are glad to speak to you so that you help us understand the nitty-gritties of the same. I know sportsmen are watching, they are glued to the program, and after training, what is the proper meal that one is supposed to take? Because I know while they're playing for their respective clubs, teams, and even offering services to organizations, there is a certain timetable in terms of meals offered. Now that someone is at home, how will be your advice?
Okay, Maxwell, to narrow this, we say that sports nutrition is very specific, and this will be determined by individual requirement in terms of the body mass index, in terms of a work output, what is the energy requirement for each and every player. So going by that, I'm sure most of these players, they are guided by a nutrition specialist who are special in this field. So they are able to know the amount of energy they're able to spend during the workout or when they're in the field. So a time like this is to make sure that whatever they are consuming, they're able to maintain within the requirements. So if one is at risk of gaining weight, depending on how they're able to plan their meals, because they have already been guided. If you are on this field, most of them, they know that in a day I'm required to meet maybe let's say maybe 2500 kilocalories in a day. So for them, they're able to know, have to eat this and this in terms of the portioning, the frequency, and patterns, which are key to make sure that they are maintaining this. And that's why in the first place I mentioned about maintaining this balance. It has to come in with the exercises, because you don't just eat and sleep. If you're not working out, you are likely to gain more weight. So for this, they have to make sure that they really stick to their workout daily routines, so that they're able to maintain that energy balance. If they don't do this, we are likely to have a situation where by the time we are resuming the normal situation, most of these players may be inactive and very low in performance.
And I was speaking to you off air some time back about the kind of stories we're being told in terms of proper hygiene,
yes,
proper meal taking, and how significant is the lemon? Because we are told that this lemon you have to mix it with hot water, but for you, whole counter of opinion. I think even yesterday I did the same. Then later on I remembered, hey, Ndirango had told me something different.
Of course, anything that you do, especially when it comes to nutrition, you have a lot of maids and people in the street who are not really practitioners in the field. So anything that you do should be guided by a science. So if you are taking lemon, what are you targeting? Most of our people mostly think of vitamin C, but we say that vitamin C is very volatile. The moment you mix it with water, it is very inactive. So most of the time when you're doing this, you're just doing it for the matters of taste, not really what you are targeting.
Yes.
So they really need to get a professional advice from the nutrition expert to really give them the content of what they really deserve. Otherwise, if you just rely on the information from the street and mates, you'll not really get whatever you need.
So, Felix Okura, you see, I used to, myself and Osoro, we attend a press conference, especially of Kenya Rugby Union. Then there is team naming, a team is going to play at Cape Town Sevens in HSBC World 7 Series in Hong Kong. Then at the end of it, we hear team physio, blah, blah, blah. So, which means physio, as far as the life of an athlete is concerned, is very paramount and crucial.
It's very, very paramount and crucial. Physiotherapy come in because during the training, a player has to train with the physiotherapist, at least to advise on injuries.
Yes.
The player should not overtrain, because that's where we come up with the muscle soreness and fatigue, and they're likely not to perform in the real race. So what we must be there to advise them on what is the right way to go about. And right way, at least a player must have a warm-up first before the really activities. Then after which they have trained, after they trained, we must end up with a cool down. So physiotherapy must be there in case of an injury, or in a situation where the player is in a race and there is an injury. We must be there to observe, diagnose, and see whether it is manageable or we can refer to the hospital. So physiotherapy is an integral part of the team as a whole.
And I know you gentlemen, you are also avid fans of sports, especially football. Now that sports is not with us, Felix, I know you support Manchester United, a struggling side in English Premier League, and local FC Leopards. I don't know how a human being would support those two teams. Both of them are fumblers in their respective leagues. So, what keeps you busy?
Currently, I can say, when you say that you wonder how human beings will support such teams, we have seasons. It may not be Manchester FC season at this moment, but currently my life currently, in the morning I wake up at around 6, I go train, then come home, take a cup of tea, and the rest of the day, probably maybe if I have a patient to see, I will rush to the hospital and come see a patient. So my schedule is a bit busy. When I come back in the evening, I saw the recap of the games. I like seeing the recap of the games of Manchester. So I'm always busy at home.
So what happened in the past in terms of United playing AC Milan in 2008 getting thrashed?
Sure. As you can imagine, when Manchester is playing, it's a repeat game, but it still is giving me that fear that probably we are going to lose in
Nostalgia.
this one. Nostalgia.
So when you played against Barcelona, Lionel Messi terrorizing you, then you still getting worried, trembling
that we are
Messi
losing
is
this
going
one
to
again.
score. Yet it's a replay.
That's how serious I am with Manchester.
How about yourself, Ndirango? Are you a fan of football?
Yeah, I support Arsenal.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we still have history on the bench. But as you are saying, this time we are encouraged to have that social thing that we can accustom ourselves to. So sport become one of them. So a time like this, in a normal day, I will wake up, go for an exercise. I do it twice in a day, so in the morning and actually in the evening. So then the entire day I'm in the clinic seeing patient. But as Felix has said, we have to do a recap of the matches that we have been watching. So it gives us a morale that our team are there and a feeling of the same, so that we are not left behind as well.
Oh, that's good stuff. And for someone who is an avid fan of sports, especially football, they are very idle and they are not watching their respective teams play. What will be your advice? Because it also helps in getting involved, trying to be busy now that there is no European calendar on right now, especially for Bundesliga, which just started last weekend.
Actually,
because boredom is also a health hazard.
very true, and we are encouraging people to have those social events, social activities, because at a time like this, we have this pandemic of COVID-19. Most people are succumbing to stress, and we are encouraging them to have those fun. What can you have for fun? Yeah, and the social distance is not there. But can you find something that you're able to do within the house? If you're not even watching, actually don't encourage watching. This one you can do once in a while, but we encourage people to be outdoor. I saw something very interesting in Kisumu where people within an estate, they were forming a health club at a time like this. So we encourage outdoor activities because it will really make you very effective in terms of even health, because you're able to exercise and maintain your immunity as well.
Wow. And your words of advice to them, Felix?
One thing I can say is that physical activity is very, very important to everyone, not only the sportsmen and women, but even to us. Make sure at least you, at this time of pandemic, at least you train at home, because it boosts your immunity, it keeps obese away, and at least everybody sleeps well. What I can encourage you guys is that at least at home, make sure you train, have at least 30 minutes of training, and you should continue like that. Thank you.
Wow, of course, we're talking about sports nutrition and fitness, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Players and sportsmen just sitting at home in quarantine, in isolation, no activity in terms of, sporting competitions, and, people have to train even via online through Zoom, trying to link up with their respective coaches to keep fit, to ensure that, when sporting activities resume, they are good to go. Anyway, as we wind up the show, because I can see it's a few minutes to 3 o'clock, your final thoughts, Nderangu?
As we are encouraged by the ministry and WHO, we need to observe the precaution measures, and linking, especially now that we are talking about the sport, we have to make sure that the connection between this, especially we are worried of obese and actually the overweight, which may lead to osteoporosis. Remember, when you are exercising on a daily basis, you are at risk of osteoporosis, especially when you are carrying too much weight.
I have to Google that one after the show.
I'm saying when you're carrying too much weight than your body can support, it weakens your bones. That's the condition called osteoporosis. So these are a very risk factor, especially for any athlete or any sport person. So for them to avoid that, make sure you create that energy balance. Make sure whatever comes in is the same thing that goes out. So exercise, meal portion, and actually snacking on the healthy snacks, moving out, that should be an order of the day until we resume normal situation.
And generally, what do you make of the government efforts to combat coronavirus?
I think we are achieving it. From the look of things, from the prediction that have been made earlier, I think we are having it, we are achieving it, because going by the figures don't lie. I think we are really achieving, and I would urge our public to really, especially our youth, let's take it as a responsibility to combat this. It just takes between you and me, whatever you're able to do. This is what is going to combat this. So let's observe the precautions, and sure, we are going to win it.
I know Felix Okura is live on set, but receiving a lot of calls. By the virtue of where he comes from, maybe people want him to say hi, but I will not give him that opportunity. Okura, you are parting short to Kenyans, and especially this time of coronavirus pandemic.
I want to tell fellow Kenyans that this COVID-19 is real. We need to adhere to the rules and regulation of the government and MOH. At least we should not wait what happened to Italy and other countries to happen to Kenya. Let us adhere let us follow the precautions that we are being given. Please maintain distance, social distance. Let's wear masks and wash our hands. Those are the things that we can at least do, because currently the virus itself, we are told, and it doesn't have the treatment. So let us observe all the precautions that we are given as a government, and at the end of the day we are going to achieve. Because every day we see the number going up day by day. That means there is something wrong which is not, that is happening. And I will urge all Kenyans that at least let's observe what we are being told with the medical staffs and all government officials, all practitioners. I urge them, at least back at home, take your time. You need to at least educate some people about the COVID-19. At least they should have that information about it, so that at least at the end of the day we win as a country. That's what I can say.
We win as a country, and you've mentioned about a very important point, insisting that COVID-19 is real. There are naysayers outside there who are still believing that, you know, this thing is not here with us. Yet some countries have witnessed a situation where lives have been claimed.
Sure.
United States, sure. Italy, Spain.
I have heard where we stay in the street, people think that these things are not happening. Somebody was asking, have you ever met somebody who had corona? How will you meet somebody who had corona when somebody is already quarantined somewhere else, or somebody is in hospital suffering? So we should don't wait to see. Just believe that these things there and things are happening. The whole world is talking about COVID-19. Why you alone? Why should you be so reckless like that with your wordings? So let's spread the word that the COVID is there, and let's observe all the precautions that we are being told. It will save us.
It will save us. Yes, indeed. It's been a quality conversation. This particular afternoon touchline comes to the end. And of course, we will be here next Saturday, same time, same place. My name is Maxwell Wasike, and this gentleman, Felix Okura, physiotherapist, and Charles Ndirangu, nutrition expert. It's been a pleasure and an honor having you on board, so that you share your expert thoughts on this field of, physiotherapy and sports nutrition. Glad to have you on board. All right, of course, to the teams that gotten involved in ensuring that the success of the show, we say salute, and of course, you continue keeping safe, continue washing hands, sanitizing, avoiding crowded places, and preaching the gospel and enlightening those who might not be in the know of what COVID-19 is. It's been a pleasure having you on board. Good afternoon, stay safe, and God bless you.